Hello, everybody all over the world. Welcome to my living room. This is Maxine Taylor, America's first licensed astrologer, and I have the May 2021 astrological overview for you. Before I jump into that, though, I have a couple of things that I want to share with you that I'm really excited about, and I hope you will be also. First of all, I'm so excited to share my latest book with you. Ta-da! Here it is, Hidden Messages in Your Birth Chart. Many of you know that I focus on our childhood programming because it sets the tone for the rest of our lives. And back many years ago, I wrote a book called Hidden Messages, and it was published by the American Federation of Astrologers. Well, it was time to update it, and this is the updated version. I talk about your mom and her messages to you, hidden and open, your father, the should and ought to and have to authority figures in your life who are basically the older authority figures who tell you what you should, ought to, and have to do. And that kind of keeps you in the program. And then, of course, the matriarch. She is the one I call the tail that wags the dog. She is the one who makes the rules for your life and everyone else's in your family. If you are as passionate about releasing your programming and first seeing it, you may want to get a copy of this. It's available on Amazon. Now, many of you have asked me questions about my books, where I get my inspiration, and who helps me get them published and promoted. I'm going to share this with you because this lady is awesome. Her name is Denise Casino. That's 2 S's in Casino. And you can get to her on bestsellerservices.com. She is terrific. I've been knowing her for, oh gosh, I want to say about 10 years or so. Every one of my books, she has been able to bring to bestseller status. And she can do the same thing for you. I love her dearly. And everyone who works with her loves her also. I know how hard it was for me when I wrote my first book. I had no idea how to market it. I had no idea. Well, actually, it was before the internet. So I knew how to do it the old-fashioned way. But when the internet arrived, I had no clue. Maybe some of you are in that boat. Denise Casino, Bestseller Services. Okay, now, before I actually get into the astrological transits for the month, I'd like to answer a question that many of you ask on my YouTube channel frequently. And that is, when I do your forecast, which I will be doing as soon as I post this particular video on YouTube, I'll put a forecast for each sign for the month of May 2021. And many of you know a lot about astrology, and so you're asking, should I use my sun sign or should I use my rising sign? Should I look at the video that you did for my sun sign, or should I look for the video you did on my rising sign, commonly referred to as the ascendant? The answer is yes. You're going to do both because the sun sign represents your ego. And I use solar charts. The ascendant is the most personal point in the chart, and very often it is more powerful than the sun sign. Now, you want to combine this with your birth chart. Now, some of you don't have a copy of your birth chart because you're not students of astrology. You might like to know a little more, but you don't have a copy of your birth chart. Here's what you can do. Just Google the phrase free birth chart. And on your screen, you get a whole list of companies that will be happy to send you a free copy of your birth chart. Of course, they really want to hook you into buying their other products. I get that. I understand that. Some of you want a birth chart, but you also want an interpretation. I can help you with that. On my website, MaxineTaylor.com, you will find that I am offering wonderful reports. I did not write them. Michael Erlewine wrote them. He did a magnificent job. They are blue star reports. You can get your birth chart. You can get a 3-month forecast. There are probably going to be many others that I'll be offering in the future. These are computerized. They are easy to understand. They are terrific. And they are affordable. Did I mention affordable? So I hope that answers all of your questions for now. When I come across some more that apply across the board, I'll include them in my astrological overview for the month. Okay, first of all, we've got a couple of dates we want to celebrate. The first one, Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody. And Mother's Day. Very important days. Okay. Now, let me make sure I've covered everything so far. I have. Let's talk about where the planets are this month. Well, first of all, the sun, the center of our solar system, the giver of life, is in practical, logical. I put one foot in front of the other and move forward. Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign. It is very practical, very logical. It doesn't move as fast as Aries, but then again, does any sign move as fast as Aries? Maybe Sag, but I think Aries really gets the trophy. If you're a Taurian, you love the feel of things, the feel of fabric, the texture of food. Taurus rules money and our belongings. And so the sun is in Taurus, and I will show you where it is in your video for this month. It'll stay in Taurus until the 20th, when it practically jumps into Gemini. And the difference between Taurus and Gemini is day and night. Gemini never sits still. It's always moving around. It's tactile, but it's because it's curious. Gemini is a sign of ideas and self-expression. So on the 20th, many of you are empaths. I know you are because you've told me you are. And many of you are, excuse me, pollen, are natural empaths, you're natural psychics. You do readings of your own, and you feel the difference. Let's say you have your birthday in Gemini, and let's say it's in June. When that sun that's orbiting moves into Gemini, and you're an empath, you feel it, you know it. Because the Gemini energy is what is being poured out over our planet. Okay. Venus, the planet of love and money and beauty and music and art. It is considered the lesser benefic, which cracks me up because how can Venus be less good in comparison to Jupiter, the greater benefic? I get it. Venus rules Taurus, and it has been in Taurus, which means that we have really enjoyed our relaxing time. Taurus is the only sign I know that can sit in front of the TV and watch it. I can't. I have to knit or crochet, sometimes eat. Taurus says, look, I've worked hard all week. I'm going to relax. And that means doing nothing. They have mastered the art of enjoyment. Now, on the 8th of May, Venus moves into Gemini, and everybody perks up, especially when it comes to love and money. And your mind can come alive. You're thinking loving thoughts, beautiful thoughts. Wherever Venus is in your chart is the area you find beautiful. So it starts off in Taurus, and by the 8th, it's in Gemini, looking around, checking everybody out. You'll see, or maybe you'll do. Okay, Mercury. Well, Mercury is in Taurus until the 3rd, when it enters its own sign, Gemini. And I want to make sure I get these dates correct. There we go. The thing about Mercury is most people are familiar with retrograde Mercury. Gosh, it feels like it's already begun. And I want to explain about the shadow of the retrograde Mercury. I did a video on that on YouTube. I think it was 2020. It might have been 2019, but I'm pretty sure it was 2020. And it's called something like Mercury retrograde, the prequel and the sequel. And on that video, I'm talking about the shadow of the retrograde Mercury, which begins before Mercury goes retrograde and after Mercury comes out of retrograde and goes direct. When Mercury is in the shadow of the retrograde, either the prequel or the sequel, it feels like Mercury is retrograde. It's not, but it feels like it. Now, we all know, those of us who have studied astrology, you do not begin a new project on a retrograde Mercury because it either fizzles out completely or has to be redone within the year. So, you're not going to buy a new computer necessarily if the old one decides not to work. You can find an older one and use that. The reason is you don't want to start, you don't want to purchase anything new unless it is tied in with a previously begun project. If you buy a new computer, a new car, it may very well be that you have to use the warranty at some point during the year. Now, if your refrigerator breaks, of course you're going to need a new refrigerator. My suggestion is that if you possibly can, from the beginning of the shadow of the Mercury retrograde through the retrograde itself, and after it goes direct, and after the sequel, the shadow of the retrograde Mercury, I suggest you tie up loose ends in every area of life. Even though Mercury, for example, will be in the shadow, which is not officially retro, if you can possibly avoid that, do so. So I'm talking about May 15th through July 7th. You are certainly going, if you have booked an engagement party, or if you're planning on getting married, you still have time to change the date. Okay? Now, why would you get married on a retrograde Mercury? If you're remarrying a spouse, you're picking up the pieces where you left off. You can possibly get away with it then, because the rule says you tie up the loose ends of unfinished projects. If it were me, I would wait until July. I'm just suggesting. However, officially, the shadow is simply the announcing of Mercury either going retrograde or having come out of retrograde. That time is safe. Okay. And Mars, the planet of action and energy, and what you'll fight with and fight for, is insensitive, emotionally tenacious, Cancer, all month. And so wherever Mars is, well, of course, we know wherever it is in your chart, that's what you're going to throw yourself into. That's what's going to come first to you. That's what you'll fight with or fight for. Well, plug the sign Cancer into it, and that is how Mars will be operating, in a nurturing, sensitive way. Okay. Okay. Now, I've got two lunations to talk about, one of which is an eclipse. Yep, we're starting the eclipses. There's one this month, May, and another one next month. Okay, that would be, of course, June. So the new moon is on May 11th. Now, on the new moon, that's when energy starts moving forward. Until then, like for the 3 days before the new moon, most people are slow because the energy is more inward. Nothing's happening. When the moon starts growing, that's when things start happening. May 11th, in the Eastern time zone, it will be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern Daylight Time, and it's in 21 degrees of Taurus. Find 21 degrees of Taurus in your birth chart. Combine it with what I'm going to say about your sign, and you'll know where the two areas are, where energy is going to start moving forward. Now, 2 weeks later, we've got a full moon, and this full moon is a total eclipse. It's on, excuse me, it's on May 26th. Interestingly enough, May 26th, 5/26, is where it is in the zodiac. 5 degrees, 26 minutes of Sagittarius. And so what you're going to do is find 5 Sag in your birth chart. I'll tell you where it is in your solar chart, because this is when the energy comes to a head. Now, you will start feeling this eclipse probably a week or two before it occurs. The planets do not make us do anything, but they show us what our options are at any given moment. And so this particular eclipse, you want to see where it is, because that's where things come to a head. And so you can plan accordingly. This is so cool. Don't you just love astrology? We will feel the effects of an eclipse till the next pair of eclipses come along. They occur in pairs or sometimes in threes. They are at their peak, however, 3 to 4 months after they occur, which means that 3 to 4 months from now, I will be reminding you of the May eclipse and the June eclipse. I think that pretty much covers it. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to post this on YouTube and begin the forecasts for each sign. So thank you for joining me. Join me next month. And until then, may the stars shine brightly on you and yours. Bye for now.